listening to Growth Hacker, the leading podcast series where we explore the latest trends and strategies in growth hacking and marketing. In each episode, we share insights and tips on how to grow your business, audience, and brand. Whether you are a startup founder, a marketer, or a curious learner, this podcast will help you discover new ways to optimize your growth and achieve your goals. Growth Hacker is brought to you by Growth Hacker Inc., which is the brainchild of Aditya Basu. Stay tuned for today's episode.
Welcome back to another interesting episode of Growth Hacker. I am your host, Talia Quinn, and with me I have our co-host, Ronan Steele.
Hello, folks. Welcome to the coolest marketing podcast on the web, Growth Hacker.
You know, Ronan, there's this classic quote in advertising, right, from John Wanamaker?
Oh, yeah, the department store guy. Half the money I spend on advertising is wasted.
Exactly. The trouble is, I don't know which half. And you'd think with all the data we have now, like truly unprecedented amounts.
Right. Clicks, views, conversions.
Yeah.
We track everything. Or we think we do.
You'd think leaders like you listening, growth hackers, CMOs, would have cracked that code by now. John Wanamaker's dilemma should be history.
But it's often not, is it? That nagging feeling, that uncertainty about where the budget's really working, it's still alive and well for so many businesses.
It really is. And often the quiet culprit hiding in plain sight in our reports is this measurement model. It's flawed, it's outdated, but it's just sticky.
Stubbornly persistent is a good way to put it. And maybe even the default people just accept without, questioning it.
We are talking, of course, about last click, attribution.
The one and only. The one that's source of so much misdirection.
So our mission today in this deep dive is basically to pull back the curtain on last click. We want to show why it's frankly a fundamental misunderstanding that's messing with your ROI.
Yeah, leading to potentially billions in inefficient spending across the whole industry. It's a huge deal.
We'll unpack why it's flawed, look at the better, more accurate models available right now, probably in the tools you already use.
And crucially, look ahead. We've got to talk about the measurement challenges coming with, the whole privacy-first, cookieless world we're entering.
Think of this as your shortcut, your roadmap to really understanding your marketing ROI, making sure your budget decisions are based on reality, not this historical fiction.
It's kind of wild, isn't it? How something that seems so simple.
Yeah, last click seems easy.
Right. So simple on the surface, but it can have such a massive and honestly damaging impact on marketing effectiveness everywhere. A lot of leaders are basically flying blind.
Optimizing against a metric that actively punishes their best work. It's like navigating in thick fog with a compass that's just broken.
That's a good way to put it. Foggy data leads to foggy decisions.
So let's get back to basics for a second for anyone listening who maybe needs a quick refresher. What exactly is last click attribution?
Okay, so at its core, last click is incredibly straightforward, almost too straightforward. That's the problem. It's a model that gives 100% of the credit for a conversion.
Like a sale, a lead, a sign-up, whatever your goal is.
Exactly. 100% credit goes to the very last touch point the customer interacted with right before they converted. So if someone clicks a Google search ad, then buy something 5 minutes later,
the Google ad gets all the glory. Full stop.
Full stop. Neat, tidy, simple.
And I think that simplicity, that neatness is exactly why it took hold for so long. It was just easy to get your head around, easy to measure in older platforms like, universal analytics.
Definitely. You pull a report, you see a channel, you see conversions next to it, boom, feels concrete, feels done.
But that neat, tidy story
is almost always wrong, fundamentally wrong. Its simplicity is its biggest weakness.
You had a great analogy for this. You earlier talked about the Super Bowl trophy.
Right. Imagine you've got the whole season, right? Training camp, preseason, regular season, playoffs. Huge effort. Then the Super Bowl.
A culmination of everything.
And then imagine deciding to give the trophy only to the guy who scored the final touchdown.
Just him. Nobody else.
Just him. You're totally ignoring the quarterback, the offensive line, the defense making crucial stops, the coaches, the strategy, the entire team effort over months that led to that one single moment.
That really paints a picture because it highlights how much critical stuff happens before that final visible action.
And that's exactly like modern marketing, isn't it? The customer journey today is rarely, if ever, that simple linear sprint to the finish line.
Oh, it's messy, it's complex, it meanders all over the place. People interact with brands across tons of channels.
Absolutely. I mean, Google's own research found some purchase journeys have over 500 digital touchpoints.
500? That's staggering.
It is. 500 interactions, from seeing an ad to reading a blog to social media, email, you name it. So by only looking at that very last click,
You're systematically overvaluing those bottom of the funnel channels, like branded search.
precisely, things like branded search, where someone is already looking for you specifically, or direct traffic, they're already pretty much sold.
Right, they're at the 1 yard line, but last click ignores how they even got to the 1 yard line.
Exactly. It systematically undervalues all that crucial top of the funnel work, the content that built trust, the social campaigns that sparked interest, the video ads that created awareness in the first place.
The stuff that actually created the demand, the reason they searched for your brand name later on. It's like celebrating the apple picking, but forgetting someone had to plant the tree and water it for years.
And this isn't just theory, right? For a marketing leader, this directly leads to, well, disastrous budget allocation. You see skewed data, you make bad calls.
You end up penalizing the channels doing the hard work of filling the funnel.
You do. You might look at a last click report and think, LinkedIn ads aren't converting, or our blog doesn't drive sales directly, and then logically, based on that bad data,
You cut their budgets.
Yeah.
With the best intentions.
exactly, but you're basically trimming the roots of the tree because the fruit is easiest to pick from the lowest branch. You simply cannot harvest demand you never created.
Let's make this super concrete. Walk us through a typical B2B SaaS customer journey, something our listeners definitely see.
Okay, perfect. Let's imagine a project manager. Let's call her Sarah. She needs a better way to manage her team's tasks. Her journey might unfold over several weeks, something like this.
All right, week 1, what happens?
Touch point 1, awareness. Week 1, Sarah sees a LinkedIn ad for a new productivity tool. It's targeted well. She doesn't click, maybe she's busy, but the name, the problem it solves, it kind of lodges in her brain, plants a seed.
Okay, no click, but the seed is planted. Week 2.
Touch point 2, consideration. Week 2, now Sarah's actively researching. Maybe she vaguely remembers that company. She searches something like best team productivity software. She finds a really helpful blog post from that same company called 10 Ways to Boost Remote Team Efficiency.
So the ad worked indirectly.
Exactly. She reads it, finds it useful, and signs up for their newsletter. First active engagement.
Got it. Moving into week 3.
Touch point 3, evaluation. Week 3, Sarah gets an email inviting her to a webinar demonstrating the tool. She registers, attends, sees it in action, asks some questions. Now she's really interested, starting to see how it fits.
Makes sense. The final step, week 4.
Touch point 4, purchase. Week 4, Sarah gets budget approval. She remembers the brand name clearly now. Goes straight to Google, types in the brand name, clicks the organic result, not a paid ad, signs up for a paid plan. Conversion.
Okay, fantastic journey. So under the old trusty last click model, who gets the credit for Sarah signing up?
100%. Every single bit of credit goes to organic branded search.
Just that final click on the brand name search result?
That's it.
The LinkedIn ad that started it all.
0 credit. The insightful blog post and newsletter signup? 0. The engaging webinar that clearly pushed her closer? Also 0.
So a marketing manager looking at this data
Would wrongly conclude organic branded search is their MVP channel, their hero.
and the disastrous consequence.
They shift budget away from LinkedIn ads, away from content creation, maybe even cut back on webinars because the report says they aren't directly converting.
Trimming the roots again, starving the channels that actually created the opportunity for that branded search to happen in the first place.
You got it. And this isn't hypothetical. We see this playing out in thousands of companies. Marketing gets less effective over time because they're optimizing for the finish line without understanding the race starts much, much earlier. They think they've solved John Wanamaker's problem, but they've identified the wrong half that is wasted.
So this is clearly a huge issue. How can you, listening right now, start to see this lie in your own data? Because the good news is you definitely can. The tools are there.
They absolutely are. The first step is right inside your Google Analytics 4 property, assuming you're using GA4, which you really should be.
Yeah, it's got some powerful features for this. So where do you go in GA4?
Look for advertising in the left navigation menu. Underneath that, you'll see attribution. Click into model comparison.
Okay, advertising, attribution, model comparison. Got it.
This report is, honestly, it's incredibly revealing. It usually defaults to comparing last click with data-driven attribution. We'll talk more about DDA soon.
And you can pick your key conversion event here, right? Like purchase or form submission.
Exactly. Choose the conversion that really matters to your business, and then you'll immediately see the differences in how credit is assigned.
This is where the light bulb moment often happens, isn't it?
It really is. You can toggle between different models in the drop-downs. Compare last click to, say, linear, or first click, or DDA, and watch how the numbers change.
What should people look for specifically?
You'll almost certainly see channels like paid social, those LinkedIn ads, maybe Facebook ads, and organic social suddenly gain a lot more credit, sometimes dramatically more.
Well, the bottom funnel stuff loses credit.
Exactly. Direct traffic and organic search, especially branded terms, will likely see their conversion credit drop significantly.
And that shift, that difference you see right there on the screen,
That's your first undeniable clue. It's concrete evidence that your top and mid-funnel activities are playing a much bigger role than last click ever admitted. It's the foundation for making smarter budget choices based on a truer picture of your customer's journey.
Okay, so we've seen the problem. We know where to look in Google Analytics 4 to get that first clue. Now, let's properly unpack these different multi-touch attribution models, because you made a key point earlier. There's no single best model for everyone.
Absolutely critical point. The right model for you depends entirely on your business, your customer journey, your sales cycle length, your specific goals. The key is making a conscious strategic choice, not just sticking with the default.
It's about being intentional with your measurement.
Exactly. So let's break down the main players beyond last click. First up, first click attribution.
The opposite of last click, basically.
Pretty much. It gives 100% of the credit to the very first touch point, that initial spark, the first time someone encountered your brand.
So if they first saw a display ad way back when, that ad gets all the credit, even if they converted months later after tons of other interactions.
That's the idea. It's really good for companies focused purely on generating new demand, on awareness, on understanding what brings completely fresh eyeballs into their world.
Like a startup trying to see what channels are actually getting them noticed initially.
Perfect example. If your goal is finding new entry points, first click is valuable. The downside, it ignores everything that happens after that first touch, which is often crucial for actually nurturing and converting the lead. You might optimize for cheap initial clicks that never pan out.
Okay, what's next?
Linear attribution. This is often a good first step away from single-touch models because it's simple and easy to understand.
How does linear work?
It gives equal credit to every single touch point in the conversion path. 4 touch points, each gets 25% of the credit. Simple as that.
That definitely feels fairer than last click. It acknowledges everything, but...
Yeah, the but is not all touch points are equal, right? A quick glance at a social ad probably isn't as influential as attending an hour-long demo webinar. Linear treats them the same.
So it's an improvement, values all interactions, but maybe doesn't capture the true varying influence of each step.
Precisely. It's a good democratic starting point, but often not the final destination for sophisticated marketers.
Makes sense. What about time decay?
Time decay is particularly interesting for businesses with longer sales cycles. Think B2B SaaS, high-value purchases.
Right, where it might take weeks or months to convert someone.
Exactly. Time decay gives more credit to touch points closer in time to the conversion. The logic is that the interactions right before the purchase are likely the most influential in pushing someone over the edge.
So that final demo call or the visit to the pricing page just before signing up gets more weight than the blog post they read 2 months earlier.
Correct. It recognizes that final push, great for understanding what seals the deal in longer cycles. The potential downside, it can still undervalue those crucial early awareness-building activities as their credit decays over time.
Okay, moving into slightly more complex territory now.
Yeah, let's talk about the U-shape model, sometimes called position-based. This one's pretty clever.
How does U-shape work?
It gives significant credit, typically 40% to the first touch point and another 40% to the last touch point.
So it values the beginning and the end heavily.
Exactly. And then the remaining 20% is distributed evenly among all the touch points in the middle.
I like that. It feels balanced. It acknowledges the importance of both getting someone in the funnel and actually closing them without totally ignoring the middle nurturing steps.
It's really a popular and effective model for many businesses for that exact reason. It highlights those critical moments of the journey.
Is there an evolution of U-shape?
There is the V-shape model. This takes U-shape a step further by adding a third major milestone, the lead creation touch point.
So like when someone fills out a form or starts a trial?
Exactly. V-shape might assign, say, 30% to the first touch, 30% to that lead creation touch, and 30% to the final conversion touch. The last 10% gets spread across any other interactions.
This sounds perfect for marketers who track that mid-funnel conversion really closely, like from initial contact to qualified lead to sale.
Absolutely. It gives proper credit to that crucial middle step of generating a qualified lead, which is vital for understanding pipeline velocity and lead generation effectiveness, very useful for sophisticated funnels.
Okay, that covers a lot of ground, but you mentioned a gold standard earlier.
Oh yes, the final boss, you might say. Data-driven attribution, or DDA.
What makes DDA the gold standard?
Unlike all the others, DDA doesn't use fixed rules. It uses machine learning. It analyzes all your converting paths and your non-converting paths in your historical data.
So it learns from my specific data what actually works?
Precisely. It builds a custom dynamic model based on the actual measured contribution of each touch point for your audience in your marketing. It figures out the real impact rather than relying on assumptions.
That sounds incredibly powerful, like the closest you can get to the real truth of your ROI.
It generally is. It's the most accurate, unbiased option. If you have enough data for the machine learning to work effectively, it can uncover relationships between channels that rule-based models just miss.
Okay, wow, that's a lot of models. First click, linear, time decay, U-shaped, V-shaped, data-driven. How does someone listening actually choose?
Great question. It comes down to aligning the model with your strategy. We can think like a quick decision flow.
All right, let's do it. Question 1.
Are you focused almost purely on top-of-funnel awareness, just getting noticed?
If yes, then maybe start by looking at first click. See what's bringing new people in.
Okay, next question. Is your sales cycle super short, like an impulse buy?
Surprisingly, maybe last click is actually okay here. If the decision is instant, the last touch is often the most dominant. It's the exception, but it exists.
Interesting. What if you want a simple, balanced view?
Then linear is a good starting point. Simple, fair, values everything equally.
Okay, what if your cycle is long and you think recent touches matter most?
Then time decay probably fits best, emphasizing that final push.
What if you believe the first and last touches are both critical?
Then U-shaped is designed for that exact scenario, balance between the start and the finish.
And the big question, do you have enough conversion data in GA4?
If yes,
then data-driven is almost certainly your best bet. Let the machine learning figure it out based on your actual results.
it's choice. It's not just technical, is it?
Not at all. For a CMO or a growth hacker, this is deeply strategic. It's about aligning measurement with business goals. It changes how you value every dollar. It's how you justify budgets. It's how you find hidden growth levers. It's fundamental.
You mentioned data-driven attribution, the gold standard. And the really good news...
The really good news is DDA is now the default for all new conversion events you set up in GA4.
That's huge. It means it's accessible, it's free, it's right there for pretty much everyone using GA4.
It is, but there's a really important but here, especially for growth hackers and CMOs relying on this data.
Okay, what's the catch?
For DDA to work properly, for the machine learning to actually learn effectively, it needs enough data. Volume matters.
How much data are we talking?
Google's general threshold is you need at least 600 conversions for that specific event, and at least 2,000 user paths leading to that conversion, all within a 30-day period.
600 conversions and 2,000 user paths in 30 days. That's quite specific. And what if you don't hit those numbers?
That's the crucial part. If you don't meet the threshold, GA4 doesn't just break, it intelligently falls back to a simpler rule-based model. Often it defaults back to last click until you get enough data again.
Whoa, so you could think you're using DDA because you selected it, but if your volume dips, you might actually be looking at last click data without realizing it?
Exactly. It's a potential blind spot. You absolutely need to monitor your conversion volume and understand if DDA is actually active and fully trained for the time period you're looking at. It's critical for trusting the insights.
Okay, that's vital context. So how do we make sure our GA4 setup is truly ready for DDA success? Let's run through an essential checklist.
Let's do it. Step 1, and we can't stress this enough.
Verify your conversion tracking, the foundation of everything.
Absolutely. Garbage in, garbage out. Double, triple check that your key conversion events, purchase, lead generation, and sign up, whatever matters, are set up correctly in GA4 and explicitly marked as conversions.
Right, that little toggle switch is important.
It's crucial. If it's not marked as a conversion, it won't be used in these attribution reports. Make sure tracking is accurate and consistent.
Okay, tracking nailed down. Step 2.
Check your attribution settings. Go to Admin, Data Display, Attribution Settings. See what reporting attribution model is selected for your property.
Confirm it's set to DDA if that's what you want, and check it hasn't been accidentally changed.
Right, and remember, this setting impacts all your standard reports. Traffic acquisition, engagement, conversions, it shapes your whole view. We generally advise sticking with DDA if you meet the thresholds.
Got it. Step 3.
Dive deep into the model comparison tool. We mentioned it earlier, but really, make this your go-to analysis spot. Use it actively.
This is where you see DDA in action compared to other models.
Exactly. See how DDA redistributes credit. Let's say you compare last click to DDA, and suddenly paid video, your YouTube ads, maybe gets 50% more conversion credit.
That's a massive insight.
It's huge.
Yeah.
That gives you concrete data-backed proof to go to your finance team or CEO and say, look, our old model undervalued YouTube. DDA shows it's driving way more conversions than we thought. We should test increasing budget here.
That's turning insight into action. Beautiful.
That's the goal. So, to help you get there, here's a quick flight checklist. Actionable takeaways you can use right after listening.
Okay, checklist time. Item 1.
Is our primary conversion event tracked accurately? Be honest. If not, fix it first.
Item 2.
Have we met the DDA data thresholds? 600 conversions to 2,000 paths in the last 30 days. Know if DDA is truly active for your analysis, period.
Item 3. This sounds important for stakeholder management.
Crucial. Have we communicated this shift in measurement to all stakeholders, especially finance? Avoid confusion, build trust, explain why you're using DDA and what it means. Get everyone on the same page.
Good one. Item 4.
Have we analyzed the model comparison report to identify the top 3 channels gaining, losing the most credit under DDA? Focus your efforts. Where are the biggest shifts?
And finally, item 5.
Have we formulated a testable hypothesis based on this data? Turn insight into action. Example, we think we're underinvesting in programmatic display. Let's test a budget increase based on DDA showing higher value. That's growth hacking.
Okay, fantastic checklist. But just as we're getting comfortable with DDA, the ground shifts again, doesn't it?
It really does. We absolutely have to talk about the elephant in the room, the end of third-party cookies.
The foundation of so much of digital advertising and tracking for decades.
Exactly. That cross-site tracking allowed by third-party cookies, it's what powered a lot of targeting and relevant here, a lot of multi-touch attribution journeys as we knew them.
But that's changing fast. Privacy regulations like GDPR, CCPA.
And the browsers themselves, Safari and Firefox, blocked them years ago. Now Google Chrome, the biggest player, is phasing them out. It's happening. The old model is breaking.
So the big problem for us marketers?
Observing that full cross-site user journey is becoming incredibly difficult, maybe impossible in the same granular way.
We have to adapt. It's not optional anymore. Your ability to measure ROI depends on it.
So how do we adapt? What are the key strategies for this privacy-first future?
Number one, without a doubt, focus intensely on your first-party data.
Define that for us again.
Data you collect directly from your users with their consent on your own properties, email signups, website behavior, purchase history, CRM data. It's gold, your most valuable asset now.
Because you own it and you have a direct relationship with the user regarding that data.
Precisely. The action here, consolidate it. Look into using a customer data platform, a CDP like Segment. Bring all that disparate first-party data together into one unified view of your customer. It's foundational for personalization and future attribution.
Okay, focus on first-party data. Strategy number 2?
Implement server-side tagging. Move away from relying purely on client-side tagging, which runs in the browser.
Why is client-side tagging becoming problematic?
It's vulnerable. Ad blockers, browser restrictions, cookie limitations, they all interfere with the data collection in the browser. Server-side tagging, using something like Google Tag Manager's server container, moves the processing to a secure server you control.
So data goes from the user's browser to my server first, then my server sends it out to Google Analytics, Facebook, etc.
Exactly. It creates a more durable, accurate, resilient data stream, less impacted by browser stuff, higher data fidelity, essential for reliable measurement going forward.
Makes sense. First-party data, server-side tagging. What's strategy number 3?
Embrace marketing mix modeling, MMM. This isn't new tech. It's an old-school statistical technique actually used heavily in traditional media.
How's MMM work differently?
It uses high-level aggregated data. Think total ad spend per channel over time, total conversions or revenue over time. It models the contribution of each channel to the overall outcome without tracking individual users.
So it's looking at correlations. When we spent more on TV, overall sales went up by X amount, controlling for other factors, that kind of thing.
That's the core idea. It's less granular than tracking every click, but it's completely privacy safe because it doesn't need individual user data.
And it's making a comeback because of the cookie changes.
Massive comeback. Not necessarily to replace multi-touch attribution entirely, but as a powerful complementary tool. It gives you that crucial macro-level view of channel impact, especially as micro-level tracking gets harder.
Okay, those are big strategic shifts. What can listeners do right now today or this week to start preparing? 3 immediate steps.
Good call. Let's make it actionable. Step 1, audit your cookie reliance.
How do you do that?
Use your browser's developer tools. Right-click on your site, hit Inspect, go to the Application tab, look under Cookies, see what third-party cookies are firing, which platforms rely on them. Know your exposure. Identify your biggest risks before they break completely.
Okay, audit complete. Step 2.
Implement a consent management platform, CMP. If you haven't already, this is non-negotiable. Tools like OneTrust, CookieBot.
Why is this so critical?
2 reasons. 1, legal compliance with GDPR, CCPA, etc. Absolutely essential. 2, building trust. When users feel you respect their privacy and give them control, they're more likely to consent to you using their valuable first-party data.
Makes total sense. Final immediate step, step 3.
Start your first-party data journey. Don't get overwhelmed. Set a small, achievable goal for this quarter. Like a simple, powerful start. Ensure every lead from your website, forums, chatbots, whatever, gets passed correctly into your CRM, and critically, that the original source information where they came from is accurately tagged to that lead record. Just start building that foundation.
That seems very doable, connecting those dots.
It really is fascinating how these things connect, isn't it? The flaws of last click and the cookieless future both force us towards more sophisticated, more user-respectful, and ultimately more accurate measurement. Moving beyond last click isn't just nice anymore. It's a requirement for smart marketing.
Yeah, you have to embrace the complexity now. Understand these multi-touch models.
And DDA and GA4 is such a great, accessible starting point for that accuracy gain for most businesses.
But the ground is shifting with cookies. The future belongs to marketers who adapt.
Absolutely. Those who build strong first-party data assets, implement resilient server-side tracking, and strategically use MMM alongside multi-touch attribution. It's about building a future-proof measurement system now.
So the immediate action for everyone listening.
Go to your Google Analytics, pull that model comparison report, switch it from last click to data-driven, find the channel that gains the most credit. That single insight,
That's where your journey to smarter attribution and much better budget allocation starts, right there.
And let's end with that provocative thought, tying back to John Wanamaker. Consider this. If you truly knew which half of your marketing budget was working, what bold new risks, what experiments would you take with the other half?
What hidden growth opportunities are just waiting to be uncovered once you remove blinders of outdated measurement? What could you build with that clarity?
That concludes today's episode. You are listening to the leading podcast series called Growth Hacker, brought to you by GrowthHacker Inc. GrowthHacker Inc. is the brainchild of Aditya Basu. He and his team of content and marketing experts help startup companies, growth stage companies, and small and medium businesses grow fast using ATL, BTL, and TTL marketing. Here in this Growth Hacker podcast, we share our insights on 360 degrees marketing and global marketing trends. Get in touch with Aditya Basu via WhatsApp to get affordable quotes regarding customized marketing plans and content creation and distribution services. Grow fast. Grow now.